News Time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
News Time is brought to you by Ripe Tomatoes. Don't eat the rotten ones. Please, stop. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news that you didn't know about. The best part of the summer isn't going on a vacation or having the hot sun beam down on us for 14 hours a day. No, it's the movies. The most fun flicks flock to the theaters to keep us cool and entertained. Something as bloated and shallow as a superhero movie and something as Oscar-worthy as the latest Dwayne Johnson star are on equal footing when it comes to going to the theater. If you love watching movies, chances are you spend some time reading reviews. Reviews aren't a foreign subject. On the contrary, in fact, I think they're more important than they've ever been. AV Club, IGN, New York Times, these and tens of dozens of other publications allow for readers to view the opinions of those they deem worthy to write about the stuff. Authors are supposed to be objective, but more often than not, their beliefs can bleed through their voices right into their words. You can't escape the inevitable. It happens way more than you think, too. To pretty much any one of the top dog, Pitchfork music reviews, The Verge tech reviews, and again, AV Club reviews. They're really the catalyst for this week's episode. Early this year, Paddington 2 garnered 100% on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter. A fake word I'm sure I've misspelled. 165 reviewers gave nothing but positive impressions of the film that follows a young bear on a job hunt and book-buying excursion. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who disagrees that this movie is nothing but pure positivity and delight. It's such a sweet film, and anyone that doesn't like it is full of all the hate. But diving deeper into our topic, Rotten Tomatoes' rating scale is, it's a problem. The website proper isn't the issue. It's the idea of reviewing itself that is the issue. When one person sees that another person hated a movie or a show or a product, they're not driven to investigate more. Of course, that's just the common person. There are plenty of people who will find second, third, even fourth opinions. But the issue is the common person's lack of interest to look into why something is bad or good for that matter. Here's an example. Any Blumhouse distributed film like It Follows almost never has a unanimous consensus. Reviews are all over the place and word of mouth is even worse. The layperson could easily blow off the horror flick if they only hear it's about an invisible monster that kills you if you have sex. Oh, and it's stupid and not scary and no one should watch it ever. Opinions are too often taken as truth when it comes to these things. Okay, hold up. Speaking of opinions, this is more of an opinion piece. How about we get into the facts? Like, how do Rotten Tomatoes and all the other review aggregators work? Well, it's simple. It's a system of collected reviews. On whatever website, users are then able to compare reviews or look at them as a whole, hence the tomato meter. For Rotten Tomatoes, reviews are divided into two areas, fresh and rotten. Then there's a certified fresh, but it's dumb. That was fine enough 10 years ago, but reviews have gotten a lot more sophisticated. Reading something from The Atlantic versus something from Vulture can yield the same results, but deal with wildly different language. The former is, how should I put this, a lot more put together than the latter. That's not a knock on Vulture. They just have two different audiences. If readers see negative reviews for something, they're less likely to buy the product. The correlation between review score and sales has never been proven right, but it's bound to be real at some point. Take last summer's movie box office. Not many good movies were released, thus resulting in a tepid draw on audiences, to say the least. Movie studios put the blame on Rotten Tomatoes, while many threw the blame right back at the studios. That being said, who's really to blame? It turns out aggregates might not be the cause of the poor box office. Forget ticket prices and movie subscription services for 1 second. What if movies, I can't believe I'm about to say this, what if movies are inherently getting worse? Oh my gosh, that was so freaking hard to say. Last fall, a study was released by USC's Entertainment Technology Center called the Data Analytics and Analytics Project. In it, researchers found that some movies or deterring potential viewers. Franchises, high concepts, even bombastic thrill rides have the potential to be brushed aside. Director for the project, Yves Bergquist, took to the medium to break down the numbers. Essentially, what he did was took the numbers for the first 150 movies to gross over $1 million at the box office in 2017, added the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and did a side-by-side comparison using the Pearson product moment correlation coefficient in conjunction with other sciencey stuff. What he found was that aggregates were neither hindering nor affecting the box office. In fact, Rotten Tomatoes has never been found to do that. So why does it continue to exist if it really doesn't matter? Director Martin Scorsese goes so far to double down on the uselessness of aggregates. During the TCM Film Festival, the story director commented on how sites like Rotten Tomatoes and CinemaScore devalue movies by placing these arbitrary ratings on them. Movies are being, quote, instantly judged and dismissed, and boiled down to what my last job at the news station or YouTubers or anyone who works for BuzzFeed calls content. And if movies are to be considered an art form, then we can't make them content. And yes, that means even a Transformer movie is art. Bergquist found that there was no discernible difference between critic and audience scores. Similarly, the bigger the movie, the smaller the difference. Bergquist insists we as a people are becoming better at finding the bad movies and not watching them. Who is to say a movie is bad or good? Apparently, you. Yet that doesn't stop aggregates. Rotten Tomatoes isn't the only negative factor. CinemaScore, while not as major as RT, is contributing to the problem. When Darren Aronofsky's Mother was released, every person who saw it was divided, many citing the thematic and tonal changes in the second half of the film as being one of the biggest issues. Using an alphabetic rating scale, the site has only given 19 movies Fs since 1986. Vulture spoke with analyst Harold Mintz, who works with CinemaScore, and said the site uses a secret algorithm to judge movies. The conversation itself is interesting enough. They cover the surrounding thought process behind why lower scoring movies are shared via bad word of mouth and end up with no sequels, with the opposite being true for higher scoring movies. But towards the end of the article, Vulture contributor Kevin Lincoln wrote about what the poor scoring movies have in common. You ready for this? Get ready. Genre subversion. Mother is a textbook example, what with its clear changing of the guard midway through Act 2. Or is it Act 3? Look, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm about to ruin the whole shebang for you. Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem are a couple living in the middle of nowhere. Bardem is a writer with no new ideas, and Lawrence is his doting, trusting wife. When Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer knock on their front door, Bardem treats the visit with open arms, while Lawrence is the exact opposite. Soon enough, a family squabble turns into murder, which turns into a funeral reception, which turns into a party, then chaos, then war, then worship, then a miscarriage, then magic. Then the start of the movie happens, and you question what the last 2 hours meant. It's not for everybody, but it's got a voice, and that voice was supposed to be horror. Audiences went in thinking it to be, but it wasn't. It was indescribable. What Lincoln suggests using the data from CinemaScore's lowest scoring movies is that people don't like to be tricked in theaters. More so, they don't like their expectations subverted. That's why some Blumhouse distributed films like The Witch and Joel Edgerton's It Comes at Night or even the ever so divisive Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, were discussed as being both the worst thing anyone's seen all year and game-changing movies. Aggregates have proven to be tough to get an understanding of. Many people take them too seriously when considering watching a movie. Others don't jive with their purported and misguided measures. They should only be taken at face value, not used as a way to judge whether a movie should be successful or not. Otherwise, films that have reached their cult status would die of relevance as soon as they were released. Space Jam, Bad Boys 2, MacGruber, all of these and more have dealt with poor critical reception and astonishing pop culture reverence. Should we continue to give aggregates the attention they crave? I think not. And that's all the news I have for you for this week on News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can always go to the website, cpluscomedy.com. That's got a new face paint on it. Check it out. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter at ChadWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast. And if you ever gifted a box of wine, then you make sure you hawk the bottles on your friends. There you go.